What is so important about science communication that you've decided to dedicate your life to it?
Well, first of all, I thought science communication was fun. My name is Martijn Peters and I'm a science communication officer at Hasselt University. When I first started doing science communication, it was at an event called FameLab, where you had to present your research in 3 minutes. I went to there. I was the only PhD student back then. It were all professors and postdoc, and I was kind of intimidated by the event, like awestruck, as to say, so it's maybe a better word than intimidated. But I enjoyed it that much that I started to training, and the more workshops I did, the more I liked doing science communication. Also, the more I saw how important that good science communication is. You have two parts about this. The first part is the part where we have the science communication from an altruistic perspective. So the thing that most people say, well, you have to communicate about science because you're funded by the public, you have to inform them, you have to inform society because when you inform society, they can make informed decisions. People need to know what you're doing. That's of course one aspect of it, which is very important, but then there's also the other aspect, which is not talked about that much within the science community, but it's also a perfect way to brand yourself as a scientist. I've noticed it with a lot of researchers also that we coached here at Hasselt University, that the better they become in science communications, the better they become in for example, teaching, education, but also on conferences, winning poster prizes, winning prizes in general, and also being recognized by other research as an important scientist in the field. So I think science communication is both important from an altruistic perspective and from an egoistic perspective as a scientist.
As a scientist, when did you realize how important science communication is? Was there any specific event? Well, you mentioned FameLab, but do you reckon any role models or any course that specifically inspired you?
Well, for me, the click came at another event when I saw like, okay, this is what I wanted to do, and it was a really fun event. One of your colleagues, Francesco, also did it, and it was the Science Battle, which is a science communication competition, you can call it, where you have to present 4 kids, and the whole event is organized by the kids. And it was such an amazing audience to present in front, and they were such enthusiastic, and they really said like, okay, I want to become a scientist now, that I was like, okay, this is why I want to do it, to make people enthusiastic about science. I really, really enjoyed that. It was an amazing event, an amazing experience.
How can scientists who don't feel comfortable about science communication because they are shy, because they have issues explaining about their research to people who may not be specialists in their topic, improve their skills?
So, one of the things that scientists can do when they want to do science communication, but they don't really know how to do it, or when they, for example, like you say, they are shy about it. Well, a couple of years ago, the only way that you could do science communication was, for example, speaking events. You had all these different type of speaking events, and you had to be good at presentation or comfortable with presenting your research. And presentation is something that does not always come easy to everyone. People feel shy, people feel nervous when they're presenting, so they don't like to do it. They don't start with science communication. But one of the great things of this era as a scientist is that you have social media. So social media are a perfect tool for a scientist if you want to start out with science communication. You don't have one-on-one contact with people, although you connect with them on a one-on-one level. So you can do it at your own pace, at your own ease, and there are various types of science communication that you can do. For example, if you are more like the written person, you can do a blog, you can tweet. If you're more a visual person, more creative, you can, for example, do Instagram or YouTube, you can make videos. So there is a wide range of possibilities now for a scientist to do science communication. So I would advise, start doing the thing that you love most. So like I said, if you're creative, maybe look into something like Instagram. Or there are also scientists that I know who make artworks about science. So there is a vast array of possibilities when it comes to science communication these days. So it isn't as black as white as it used to be. You can choose what you love doing. So combine it with that.
Did you test that yourself? Did you use your social media during your PhD to, let's say, brand yourself and get out there?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I mainly did the speaking engagements because I was someone who felt comfortable standing in front of the audience. I actually enjoyed it doing that. So for me, that was fun to do. But then during one of the workshops here at the university, because we have the doctoral schools, which are courses for PhD students, there was one course on using Twitter as a scientist. Back then I had a Twitter account. It was, I think, with 200 followers, so not really extremely used for science communication. But I saw the potential of using social media, who were upcoming at that moment, because back then Facebook was the place to be and Twitter was upcoming. Now Instagram is the place to be or is upcoming for science communication. But I started doing Twitter then, and I really saw the potential and how fast I could connect with people all over the world, and how fast also people even within Belgium started to recognize me as, okay, this is a scientist who is doing science communication. After a while, however, I realized that I liked the visual aspect more. So I started doing YouTube, vlogging, but I noticed quickly that the YouTube market is kind of oversaturated. So YouTube at then was already over its peak, so there were tons and tons of science communicators on YouTube. And that's when I discovered, for example, Instagram. And I really loved the aspect of photography, which I like, and making videos, which I could combine into Instagram. And that's, for example, how I got into Instagram, by combining something that I love with science communication.
And a bit on this topic as well, if you could go back to yourself when you started your PhD, would it be, and having now the experience that you have, what would be the advice you would give to yourself? Imagine that you have 3 things that you could tell to your young you.
3 things. First of all, I would tell myself, put more effort into Instagram much sooner. I noticed it, but like many people, I was like, okay, I'm on Twitter now. Twitter is the place to be for science communication. What value can, for example, Instagram have for science communication? So I was in the beginning of the wave for Instagram, but not the one starting the wave. So I got a lot of the potential in growth of followers on Instagram, but not the full potential. So I'd say go do Instagram sooner because you like it more and there's more potential to grow. So that would be one of the first things that I would tell myself. A second thing I would tell myself, not that that's something that I didn't do, but is to more believe in yourself. Because when you're a scientist and you do science communication, you often get like the odd eyes by other scientists. So why is he or she putting that much effort into science communication? You should focus on your research. If he or she is doing, do they expect us to do it as well? So you can get kind of negative comments at times. So I would say like keep on doing, because what you're doing is valuable for others as well as for yourself. I think those are the 2 main points that I would tell myself. So keep believing in yourself and keep doing what you love.
As you mentioned, there is some reticence from a part of the scientific community, perhaps, to this science outreach and science communication. In your opinion, is this the main barrier to science communication, or what would be the main barriers, and why do some scientists still, have problems adopting it?
I think it's definitely one of the main barriers when it comes to science communication, because still to this day, we often see critique from the science community when it comes to science communication. For example, if I have to go back a bit in time, we have this network on Instagram called the Sci community, which is a collective of scientists from all over the world doing science communication on Instagram. And for example, a while ago, we had kind of backlash on one of our members for doing science communication. So there was this big piece written in a magazine about science communication on Instagram, how it is not that good, you should better work more in the lab. Then a while ago, for example, we had also a backlash on one of our members because she is doing research. She's doing research in Miami, which is kind of a sunny place. So she also has a lot of bikini pictures. So she got some backlash of other female scientists who say like, okay, this is not the way to do science communication with a bikini picture. Kind of that. So there's always like this pushback from the science community. But I think the ship is turning a bit because also multiple scientists are seeing what the advantages are of science communication. So it's not all that negative. So it's not like the science community is repressing scientists to do science communication. They're a bit of hesitant toward it. But I think one of the main obstacles for scientists in doing science communication is training. The training aspect is hugely overlooked because during your whole training in becoming a scientist, you almost never get any training in how to present your research, how to make it understandable. I always say like the more difficult a student can present his topic during a lesson, the higher his grades will be, or her grades. So we train students to explain it as difficult and jargon heavy as possible throughout their bachelor and master's degree, while we should also train them to do science communication and to communicate, because if they have the knowledge and the skills, they will also implement it and the barrier will be much lower. We see this, for example, here at Hasselt University. I started a training in the master's degree of biomedical sciences together with a professor, where we train them for 1 full day in doing popular science communication. And then a month later, they have to give a 3-minute presentation with attributes and stuff like that to their colleague students about their junior thesis internship. But also, for example, training or websites like Ristretto Black are amazing tools for researchers to learn about science communication. And we should put more effort into training our scientists to do that, because the more you train them and provide them with the skill and knowledge, the more people will start doing science communication and will feel comfortable doing it. So really it's all about creating a support network for scientists to do it. So it's both backing from the science community as well as backing from an education perspective, so providing support.
Yeah, I think you raise a very interesting point there, that many times as scientists that the educational part is focused perhaps only on the technical issues, and we fail to see, as a community, the importance of giving some kind of training into that. I could feel it myself at the beginning of my PhD or my master's. I couldn't feel, you just think you learn by doing and that you get out there to do presentations, that's it, by getting yourself out, while there is some additional value in getting some type of training there. And we feel that actually that reticence, that's it, even from PhD students, like I'm too busy doing my own research to be dedicating some time to it. However, as you say, there is an additional value in getting some training done. That's something, that can help you throughout.
It's even the basic aspect that it is not only valuable, like I said in the beginning, for doing communication to the general public, but also to other scientists. I mean, the times that I've sat in a conference and I did not understand people from my own field, it's really bad, because even from scientist to scientist, we do not know how to tell stories, and stories are the main way to present your research to an audience, or even for communicating from scientist to scientist, the value that we can gain there, it's enormous. So there are really a lot of benefit in training our scientists indeed.
Yeah. And that, it spans from more broader public to the full science community, like communications, getting out there.
I mean, you communicate to everyone around you, so it's a skill that will always be valuable.
Yeah.